Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. We want to welcome everyone to the Commission chambers. I'm excited to have a series of special guests here with us on the day, and I'll begin with each and every one of you. You're all our special guests today. Certainly want to acknowledge and welcome my good friend, the Mayor of North Augusta, Mayor Britton Williams, into this Commission chamber. And he's joined today by his city administrator, Colonel Jim Clifford, retired, now city administrator. He went from government business to government business. Fantastic. But again, we welcome everyone here today. And with that, Madam Clerk, I think I called you earlier with a couple of things on my mind. We'll make adjustments in motion, but I believe all of you have your agendas. The administrator was giving us a handout. I think that's going to be coming back to you in just a minute. And with that, again, we'll call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, that item that I called you about, we'll add that at the top of our delegations portion, okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. And grateful to have my friend, Pastor from First Baptist, Will Dyer, here today as well. Thank you, my friend. Madam Clerk, turn it over to you.
Thank you. Call your attention to the invocation portion of our agenda, which will be shared with us today by Pastor Will Dyer, Senior Pastor of the First Baptist Church of Augusta, following our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Honorable Sheriff of Richmond County, Mr. Richard Roundtree. Would you please stand?
If you all would, please join me as we pray. Oh Lord, we are grateful for this beautiful day you have given us. God, for each one of these commissioners, for Mayor Davis, we thank you for their service. God, would you bless them? And on this day, would you give them wisdom as they consider the business that comes before this incredible audience? God, would you continue to bless our city? Would it be a place where every person, regardless of color of skin, regardless of economic status, may it be a place of wonder and beauty where each one of her citizens might thrive? God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all your blessings. This is our prayer, and we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Dyer. Excuse me. Yeah, if you could just, yeah. We're going to do the social distance so we won't get in trouble. Reverend Dyer, it is a pleasure to have you with us today. Your priestly presence, invoking God's presence in our meeting place. We would like to express our thankfulness to you who felt it not an inconvenience to come and pray for us. Thank you for your prayer of wisdom, unity, and divine protection. We receive your thoughtfulness as an act of a service of God. May he bless you with peace and love for your kindness shown toward us today. By these presents be it known that Reverend Will Dyer, Senior Pastor, First Baptist Church, is the chaplain of the day. May his spiritual guidance and civic leadership serve as an example for all citizens of Augusta. Given under my hand the 16th day of November, 2021, Hardy Davis, Jr., Mayor. Thank you so much.
Would you join me in thanking Dr. Dyer for the service?
Ready? Okay. Call your attention to the delegation portion of our agenda. Item number A, Mr. Moses Todd, regarding Augusta-Richmond County cemetery budget.
Mr. Mayor and members of the commission, as you know, I'm chairman of the Citizens Committee, Cemetery Committee, and that's the 3 city cemeteries, Magnolia, Cedar Groves, and Westview. We had a successful bicentennial celebration it's been a couple of years now, 2018. In 2019, we buried capsules at Magnolia and Cedar Groves to be open in 20 years. The reason that I'm here today is that I emailed the administrator, I believe, and the commissioners in reference to the budget. And I think there were some discrepancies in what the needs are. And I was talking about general fund budget and possibly American Rescue Act funds versus the special purpose local option sales tax, which we thought we managed to get 1.5 million in. It's my understanding that the approved list was $600,000 for the 3 cemeteries, and that's water under the bridge. But this is an opportunity to improve or correct that. And the way that I recommend we do it, in that we don't want to hit the general fund, that we do it out of the American Rescue Act funds, any funds that's left. There is at least a couple $1 million worth of a capital infrastructure improvement need to be done at Magnolia. We would like to do a wrought iron fence around Cedar Groves. And we're talking about trees, if we're talking Cedar Groves, 200-year-old trees at Cedar Groves, and 200-plus-year-old trees at Magnolia it's in dire need of maintenance. And this is work that we cannot do out of special purpose local option sales tax, but we could do out of American Rescue Act funds. Now, it's my understanding that you've budgeted approximately $1 million possibly out of American Rescue Act funds to do some of this, but the needs is a lot greater. And this is one opportunity to do something to replace the funds that was used in the old city government from perpetual care. And also, I'd recommend that as far as plots go into city cemeteries, and that we should be, and opening and closing the graves, we should be closer to the market, the private sector market, to generate funds for the operation of the cemeteries. Now, I understand that the general fund budget for the day-to-day operation for the cemeteries was cut a certain percent, and to rectify that again, we can do it. I know it's a one-time thing with American Rescue Act funds. I would like to take this time to commend the commission on the budget and the budget process this year. I think that the administrator had several hearings around town, in reference to budget, to give the citizens the opportunity to have input on the budget. I've done a lot of it through email to you. I did not attend the meetings. Not that I wasn't interested in what was going on, but certainly, COVID concerns, et cetera. So I'd like to commend the administrator for his effort of having transparency and public taxpayers' input, Mr. Mayor, into the budget process. And thank you, each and every one of you, for what all you do.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. We appreciate it. I don't believe that there are any questions at this time.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. Madam Clerk, members of the Augusta Commission, and to those that have joined us on today, both by live stream and in the audience, I mentioned a moment ago that we have with us the Mayor of North Augusta, Mayor Britton Williams. We welcome him into his new role. We've long enjoyed a tremendous relationship with the city of North Augusta. I've oftentimes said that we have a river that joins us. It does not divide us or separate us. And so today we have, again, an opportunity to further strengthen and acknowledge those bonds. I want to take us all back to September the 18th. On Saturday, September the 18th, the weekend of the Georgia-South Carolina game, we had our inaugural trash bash. And on Saturday, September the 18th, led by our own, I believe, Miss Shalonda Smith of Keep Augusta Beautiful. Miss Smith, would you please stand? All right, wonderful. Let's give her a hand for her incredible effort. Thank you, Ms. Smith, and to all of our volunteers, our teams, the departments that participated in that. The cities of Augusta and North Augusta participated in this inaugural trash bash. At the Border Challenge, volunteers competed for the most impactful cleanup measured by volunteer turnout, total amount of debris collected, tires and recycling materials removed, and the most unusual littered item found. Projects included cleanups by land and by water with kayaks and motorized boats. And so on today, we want to further affirm and acknowledge those efforts. I'm going to ask Mayor Williams if he would come, and we're going to give him a moment to come to this podium, Mayor Britton Williams, and if you'll say a few words, yes, and then I will come and graciously accept the Victor's Trophy.
Mayor Davis, Commissioner, I appreciate this opportunity. You know, Mayor Davis and I were at an event last week, and when he saw me about halfway across the room, his face lit up. He started smiling, waving to me. He started walking over to me, patting me on the back, and I was so excited. He was excited to see me. What I think I realized was he wasn't really glad to see me. He just wanted to personally tell me I need to be here today to present this award. But I told him, I said, well, I didn't hear from you, so I figured you weren't serious about it. But we had a wonderful laugh and really enjoyed that camaraderie. Let me just say that the trash bash at the border, I think, and I think you said it so well, we have a river between us, but it does not divide us. And when it comes to the Savannah River, we are on the same page when it comes to what we're trying to do with preserving the lock and dam. And the second part of that's what we're doing with the litter. And I'll tell you, as far as North Augusta, we had right at about 100 volunteers. Quite frankly, being new to the job and never done this before, I didn't know what to expect. So as far as North Augusta, I felt like it was a win for us. But again, this is an opportunity for both communities to come together, and we both won because our river looks better, our land looks better, and we got citizens involved. And when you get citizens volunteering to get involved to make your community better, that is special. And for the groups to bring us together to do that, I think is fantastic. So, Mayor Davis, I want you to enjoy this year because next year I'm going to work a little bit harder. We're going to try to get a few more volunteers out so we put a little bit of pressure on you. By the way, I am a Georgia fan, though I am in South Carolina. I do need to say that. But anyway, now this is a little loose because I kicked it after I lost. So. But anyway, on behalf of the city of North Augusta, I want to present the mayor.
And for everyone who knows, this will be the only day that I say, go Dogs!
The only trophy he'll get.
That's good. That's good.
Georgia Tech won't be holding a trophy this year.
Put a mask on.
They just have a mayor who runs for the sex.
Asking for a recount.
Again, to Mayor Williams and Mayor to Administrator Clifford, Thank you for the camaraderie that we enjoy as cities. To Ms. Smith, Shalonda, thank you for the work that you did to put it together. I think the challenge has already been issued today, so we know what we've got to do as we track towards 2022. All right. Madam Clerk, it's back in your hands.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Call your attention to the consent portion of our agenda, which consists of items 1 through 28. Items 1 through 28. For the benefit of any objectors to our planning petitions, would you please signify your objection once the petition is read? Call your attention to item number 2. It's a request for a special exception affecting property known as 3012 Libby Drive to establish a family personal care home. Item number 2. Item number 3 is a request for rezoning from a zone R1A 1 family residential to a zone R1E 1 family residential affecting properties located at 2122 Hardin Road. Item number 4 is a request for rezoning from a zone R1 1 family residential and a zone R1A 1 family residential to a zone R3C multiple family residential affecting property located at 3500 Walton Way. Item number 5 is a request for rezoning from a zone RMH manufactured home residential to a zone R1A 1 family residential affecting property located at 1912 Pine Hollow Drive. Item number 6 is a request for rezoning from a zone P1 professional office and a zone R1A 1 family residential to a zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property located at 1699 and 1701 Olive Road. Are there any objectors to any of our planning petitions? Okay, could you please stand and what item that was? Number 3, we have objectors to 3, okay. Are there any other objectors to any of the other planning petitions? Okay. Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 28 with objectors to item number 3. If that item could be pulled. Items 1 through 28 with objectors to item number 3.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we get consensus for number 35 to put on the consent agenda?
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from third.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 19, please, for discussion.
Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir. I'd like to add to consent 31, 32, 31, 32, 34, and he did 35, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
I have a question on 32.
okay.
Okay.
And do we have any more questions about the 2022 budget? If not, I'd like to consent that. Do we have questions on the budget?
All right, everybody just hold tight for a second. Hold tight. All right, so going back, item 31, consent.
Yep, He has-
34, consent.
yep.
Okay.
We did 35.
And we did 35.
and I asked if anyone had any questions on 36. Got questions?
Mayor Davis, for 31, I just wanted to highlight for 31, it reads agreement, but there's a resolution in the attachments. Of course, it's been public, but I think the only caveat is for the record to make sure you're approving the agreement and resolution, because it just doesn't explicitly say that.
Thank you, Administrator Donald. So duly noted. We can consent 31 with the understanding that we are consenting the resolution of support and the contract, MOU. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 4th. Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the request was to pull 3. Was that the
Yes.
one? Okay.
3, that's correct.
I didn't know if that was in there. Okay, and
Yeah.
also there was something to ask about the budget. I want to make sure which budget we're talking about. Are we talking about the one that we looked at last week before, what have you, with no changes?
Well, you asked for some changes.
Well, with the
and they were
changes, I'm sorry.
included. Yeah,
That-
those changes are included.
And only those changes?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Got it.
Let's talk about it.
Be prepared to do so.
Okay. Madam Clerk, all right, if you read back for me what we've pulled from consent and what we've added to consent.
Okay. Our consent agenda would consist of pulling item number 3,
Okay. And 19.
and adding, pulling item number 19, adding item number 31 to include the adoption of a resolution in support, item 32, item 34, and item 35.
32 was,
He took 32
Right,
out.
32 is
Okay.
not included. It's not included.
We had-
Motion to
we had
approve
objected.
as
That's
stated
Mr.
on the
Franham.
screen.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Franham and Mr. Mason. Okay.
Voting.
Are you going to 21? Because you know that's what everybody's here for. Keep them waiting.
Mr. Garrett, Mr. Franham, Mr. Mason, Mr. Dennis, and Mr. Jordan. Try it again, sir. There you go. All right. Yeah.
Try it again.
That motion carries unanimously. Okay, where we're headed, sir?
I'm trying to decide.
Okay.
Where would you like to go? I know what. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
29.
Madam Clerk, we'll go to number 3.
Item
3.
3, okay. Our planning petition, item number 3, is a request to approve with conditions a petition requesting a rezoning from a zone R1A1 family residential to a zone R1E1 family residential affecting property at 2122 Harding Road.
We have an objection on number 3. Director Sherman, if we could hear from you, and then I want to hear from the objector, okay? In that order.
Okay. Let me slide right there for just a second. Okay, hold on one second.
Okay, number 3 is a Z2176. It's a request for concurrence with the Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission to approve with conditions below a petition by S7 Enterprises LLC requesting rezoning from R1A one-family residential to zone R1E one-family residential, affecting property containing 4.13 acres located at 2122 Harding Road, tax map 110-1, parcel 65.01. This was continued from our October meeting. There are 8 conditions that are recommended with the recommendation for approval. I'll read those. Number 1, the project must substantially conform to the concept plan submitted with the rezoning application. Number 2, all lots must adhere to required front side and rear setbacks, and a 5-foot side setback must be provided on all end units as currently provided for in the concept plan. Number 3, a traffic assessment may be required for this site. If required by the traffic engineer, the traffic assessment should contain at a minimum A, trip generation calculations based on the proposed development and size. B, how those trips will be distributed within the nearby street system. C, existing traffic volumes plus the trips generated. D, the projected level of service of nearby streets before and due to the proposed development. E, depending on the traffic assessment, a full traffic impact study may be required if certain conditions are met and at the discretion of the Augusta traffic engineer. 4, an acceleration lane and a decel lane must be provided for the proposed subdivision if required by the traffic engineer. All work within the right-of-way of Harding Road must meet City of Augusta, Georgia Department of Transportation standards and specifications. And number 5, a 6-foot tall privacy fence must be provided on the adjoining property lines for map 110-1, parcel 65, 110-1, parcel 66, to reduce noise and traffic impacts. A street yard, number 6, a street yard with large trees 45 feet on center is required along the portion of the subdivision fronting Harding Road. Number 7, must meet the open space requirements of R1E zoning prior to submitting a development plan. And number 8, the last, project shall substantially comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. So the petition is a request to rezone to R1E. And the proposal is to build 15 attached residential townhomes on the property in groups of 5.
Okay, thank you, Director Sherman. Let's hear from the objector, or at least to hear the concerns that she has. Ma'am, if you would, please state for the record your name and your address.
Norma Lee, 2126 Harding Road. We did get a chance to meet with the developer. We hadn't had that prior to this meeting. The family that's adjacent to this rezoning couldn't be here today, and I live next door to them. They asked me to stop in and let you know they feel that 15 homes are 5 too many for that particular property. And I'm here to let you know that they think that I'm not sure what the statute or limit what the state or local laws are as far as it's 4.5 acres, I think, of land. They're putting 15 homes next to a one-family home. It's like bringing the city into the country.
Thank you for that. All right, are there any questions? All right, Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 4th.
I actually kind of wanted to hear from the Commissioner from the 6th since it's in his district. I was trying to see what his thought process was, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 6th. Your mic's not on, sir. All right. It is now. Thank you.
Train this light. It's supposed to come on when I start talking. Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir. Director Sherman.
Yes, sir.
In terms of what is standard procedure normally when you have, like, let's say about 4 acres here, and you're talking about 15 homes, which is about almost four homes per acre. For this type of development, is this usual or unusual?
That's it's not unusual for an R1E development. That's the least restrictive of the single-family developments. It allows you to, if you'll take this, I guess term, free form, but you're committed to the plan that you submit. So if you're going to have these units on, it's got to, what you get approved is what you're tied to. You can't amend your plan without going back through the process. You are required to have open space. And this comes out to be, let's see, a density of right about 3.6 units per acre.
All right. Well, my next question is, and maybe there may be a better question for the young lady, Miss Norma. What is your acreage, ma'am?
Mine is just under 1 acre.
Okay. And your neighbors as well, about the same as yours?
His is actually larger now.
Okay.
But it's going to change dramatically when and if this happens.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
So we're basically objecting to the density, the number of homes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you all for your questions. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mayor, you just skipped
All right.
over.
Okay, I'm sorry. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I was just gonna motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I got a second. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th.
Yes, my question was I was gonna ask if the developer was here.
Okay.
Back.
I see the developer. All right.
I was gonna ask.
Do you have questions for
Yes,
the
sir.
developer? All right. If the developer would approach. Director Sherman, as the developer is coming forward, what was the recommendation from the Planning Department and the Planning Commission?
Planning Commission is recommending approval, and the staff is recommending approval as well as the commission.
And that's approval consistent with our current code, is that correct?
That's correct, with those conditions that I read.
All right. very well.
Director, is there any developments around this area with the same density?
Well, directly across the street is a B2 zone, general business. It's the zoning's there. I'm not sure that it's being used for commercial. Where's the?
This ain't commercial.
Where'd the lady go?
This one ain't commercial.
It's not being used for commercial, but it is zone B2, directly across the street.
Right, but this isn't commercial. This is residential.
No, just to say that what is the surrounding zoning?
Okay.
You have R1 basically around it on 3 sides. Across the street is B2, general business. It's probably a few hundred feet from Peach Orchard Road in the vicinity for Harding Road, where, if you don't know, it's near the Wendy's.
Okay.
All right, Director Sherman, sorry, everybody, just a spin. If you'll approach the microphone, sir, whoever's going to speak, and if you'll state for the record your name.
Name is Balvant Mystery,
And you're representing?
S7.
Okay. All right. Commissioner from the 8th.
Mayor, thank you. Sir, I was just, you heard the concerns from the neighbors. Is there any movement in regards to the amount of units that can be built there to help come to some sort of compromise?
We're willing to compromise. We don't have a problem.
Okay. I think she asked if you could do 10 instead of the 15. Is that something that is doable?
That's something we'd have to probably speak to our engineer and the architects to see what we could fit in there. I mean, 10 properties and 15 properties doesn't make a big difference in terms of the volume. of traffic going in and out.
Okay, right.
So,
All right, appreciate that. I think there's a motion on the floor.
We've got a motion to approve and a second. Voting.
That motion fails 4-6, with Mr. Dennis Williams voting yes, Ms. Catherine McKnight, Mr. Bobby Williams, and Mr. Sean Franham. Voting no, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Mason, Mr. Hassan, Mr. Garrett, Ms. Scott, and Mr. Clark.
Madam Clerk, number 19.
Item number 19 is a motion to approve the proposed dedication plaque drafts to recognize completion of the Augusta Law Department renovation and the Freeman Library renovation projects.
Okay, Ms. Dowse, if you'll approach, and the chair is going to recognize the commissioner from the 3rd for a question. Commissioner from the 3rd.
Yes, I just wanted to say that in the past, when they've done these plaques, that ex officios usually are put on there, and wanted to see if Mrs. Allen could discuss on putting 2 other names added to it.
Ms. Dowse.
Excuse me, Ms. Dowse, I'm sorry, wrong day.
That's okay. Good afternoon, Commission and Mayor. The plaque rendition was sent to the library, and when the library returned the changes to us, the ex officio names were removed. So between the time of me speaking with Commissioner McKnight and getting a better understanding of why the names were removed, I don't have that additional information, but I'm sure the commission can make that decision if they want those names added to the plaque or not. And I would like to also add, just as Commissioner McKnight previously stated, the recent library Freeman branch that was done in 2019 did have the ex officio members as well as the commission names listed.
Thank you, Ms. Dowse. Ms. McKnight.
Yes, I was just saying, going to see if we could just approve to have the 2 names added to it.
Are you making that in form of motion?
I would like, yes, motion to approve.
With those additions? With those additions?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, very well. All right. All right.
Can we name the names?
And those names?
Yes, it would be Mr. Leon Mabin and Commissioner Catherine Smith McKnight.
Your name's already on there.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Because
then.
you are a member of the commission.
All right,
So the
so
only
even though I
ex-officio-
serve on that board,
Yes.
and I appreciate my constituents' understanding, they're laughing down there at the end, but no, I would like to just at least add Mr. Mabin's name to it, please.
All right. I believe the commissioner from the 3rd has indicated her
Yes.
motion is a
Is to
motion to approve the plaques
That's
with the
correct.
addition of ex officio member Leon Mabin.
Correct.
I've got a second.
Who seconded that, sir? Ms.
Everybody
Scott.
suspend.
Thank you.
There's a lot of chatter going on. If you'll give the commissioner the floor. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, the second came from the commissioner from the 9th.
Thank you.
All right, I've got a motion and a second with that amendment. All right, Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 6th.
I just wanted to, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to know from Ms. Dowse, I think in 15 or 16, we revised our, how we would do plaques and what have you, things that, so does this deviate in any form or fashion? I'm not against it. I just want to make sure, how far are we off? Are we right in line with what we approved back in 15 or 16?
So the recent plaque, dedication plaque and commemorative marker policy was approved December 2018. It does not mention the library or their board or how the names will be listed, but it is in direct reflection of what's listed as far as listing the commissioners.
Did that answer my question? I was asking what was the policy, and I might have missed that. And I apologize if I did.
Okay, I may have misunderstood your question, but I thought you were asking, does the current plaque draft that we presented, is it in line with the policy? Yes, it is in line with the policy. However, the policy does not dictate how the library's board names are listed. It doesn't give any mention to the library, only to the commission, the mayor, the administrator, and such.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Voting.
Mr. Son. Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, that takes us to item number
29.
30?
29.
29?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item 29, no recommendation from the Planning Commission on behalf of Clyde Ray requesting a rezoning from a zone R1, one-family residential, and a zone R1B, one-family residential, to a zone R3B, multiple family residential, affecting property located at 413, 415, 419, 421, 425, 427, 429, and 433 Pleasant Home Road.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director Sherman, as you prepare to bring us up to speed on this, would you also, in your articulation, clarify the no recommendation versus a recommendation? That whole narrative needs to be clarified, okay?
Yes, it will.
All right, and as you're posturing, Madam Clerk, let's make sure that we want to recognize any objectors that we have and be prepared to identify a spokesperson. If there's someone who's going to speak for or against this, please have that person ready to come forward at the time that you're recognized, okay? There'll be only one speaker. All right, Chair recognizes the director.
Okay, and if I could start off with the caption for the agenda item, it does need to be corrected. So Z2180, where it has no recommendation, what it should say is no action by the Planning Commission, and I'll explain that in just a second. And then the agenda item should go on to read, a petition by Ivy Development, LLC, on behalf of Clyde Ray, excuse me, requesting rezoning from R1, one-family residential, and zone R1B, one-family residential, to zone R3B, multiple family residential, affecting properties containing 18.86 acres located at 413, 415, 419, 421, 425, 427, 429, and 433 Pleasant Home Road. And then the tax map 16, parcel 4803, 4802, parcels 47, parcel 46, 45, 45.01, 45.02, and 44. So the staff recommended to the Planning Commission approval of the request, subject to the conditions. The Planning Commission had a motion, and the motion was to approve the recommendation. The motion failed 4-6, 4 for, 6 against. There was not a substitute motion, so it came to you that way. There was just no action taken. During the meeting, as you can see, there are a good many residents here. The residents, and they'll have a spokesperson, but they were against the petition. The petition is for the construction. Well, it's Again, it's 8 contiguous parcels. It's 18.8 acres, asking for an R3B zone to construct 191 apartments with amenities. There'll be 8.8 acres open space. They'll have 2 entrances off of Pleasant Home Road. And the discussion from the objectors leaned heavily towards the traffic on Pleasant Home Road, which is a connector between Washington Road and, say, Davis, Walton Extension, and going on over to Bobby Jones Expressway, as well as to the density. Now, the density of the property, what is proposed is roughly 10 units per acre. The surrounding properties, there are a couple of multifamily zones with attached townhomes that are roughly 8 units per acre. This property has a little bit of a zoning history. Back in, let's see, in 1986, 6 of the parcels were rezoned to single-family, R1B, single-family residential with a special exception, so that they could have 5 units, 5.5 units per acre. They were to be detached residential units, maximum of 50 units. It didn't get approved. I mean, it got approved, but it never, obviously, it was never built. We had another zoning application in May of 2019, and it was withdrawn. But there was a request to rezone the property for multifamily. It was going to be a senior living area, senior living complex, and that was withdrawn. I think for whatever the applicant's reasons are. So now we've got before you an application for 191 units, multifamily. We feel that it's in our opinion, it's the highest and best use. There's been an attempt to develop the property for single-family residential, and it just hasn't progressed. And the reason, well, you wonder. So it's is it the cost of the land, or they just can't make the numbers work, I suppose. There's been questions about the comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan, it does allow this use. It allows alternative housing opportunities and infill development. It asks for protection against the single-family residential adjoining it with buffers. So the staff did recommend that it be approved, but so during our virtual meeting with the Planning Commission, that's where we go over the cases with the planning commissioners that attend, and it's open to the public. And so during that meeting, there was discussion about the one of the standard conditions on rezoning, where it's applicable, is that there be a traffic assessment, and if needed, as determined by the traffic engineer, that there be a traffic study. The applicant had already moved towards obtaining, having that study done. So after our virtual meeting, the applicant met with our traffic engineer, and they discussed the project, and based on what the study indicated, they came to the conclusion that a traffic light should be installed, and there was going to be a shared expense, and I know that's the limit of what I know on that, but it's going to be on the westernmost driveway, which is directly across from Foxhall subdivision. So you have 2 driveways, one further east going towards Washington Road, and then the main entrance would be there at Foxhall, and it would be proposed with a traffic light, and then there would be turn lanes, both on internal turn lanes and turn lanes on Pleasant Home Road. Still, the neighbors, they strongly express their concern about the traffic volume on Pleasant Home Road, and the number of units. Again, we go back to that the motion was to approve the recommendation of the staff, and that failed 4-6. And so it's before you.
Thank you, Director Sherman. I believe we have some questions. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Director Sherman, I'm trying to wrap my head around this location here. As I recall Pleasant Home, you've got the Creek View and then Foxhall. But isn't there a couple of, I think it's called the Place, like a Rehabilitation Center? There's a couple of those right in that same vicinity, correct?
Right. And let me see if I can sort of take you there. So if you're turning right off of, say, Walton Way Extension at Davis Road, going on Pleasant Home Road, going towards Washington Road.
Right.
As you are going down the road on your left, there's a pond, and then there's I think it was a nursing home at one time, and it's the,
right.
So before you get to that pond, that is the eastern edge of this property. And so it goes back, going back towards Davis Road, and it stops there. It's a little bit beyond Foxhall. So it's in that area.
It's in that area. So not only would you have those, because I think it's two, that's on the left-hand side, two different, I don't want to call it nursing. I don't know if it's nursing or it's some type of facility. If I'm not mistaken, there's one called the Place, I know, and then there's one not too far from it, and then there's that pond that's in the middle, right?
That's correct.
And so you're talking about, or they're talking about potentially building that apartment complex there?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes the Mayor Pro Tem. Okay. All right. At this time, I want to hear from the.
Well, let us get a count.
All right. We're going to get a count. All right, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. All those that are in objection to this planning petition, would you please raise your hand? Mr. Administrator.
Might be easier if you just turn your cards in.
Or either ask who is in favor.
Oh, my. Okay, and if you'll bring that forward as well, that'd be great.
Just hold your hand up, those that are in objection, so we make sure.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to hear from one of the
Well,
objectors.
let me ask, are there any
Okay.
supporters? We have any supporters? We have two. Okay.
Say money.
Okay. All right, so we'll do this.
Mr. Mayor, we have 49 objectors and 2 supporters.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we're going to hear from, let me hear from the objectors first. I believe we've got Randy Sasser, who's here with us, and there's someone else. They're going to share their time, and they'll split the balance of their time.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Administrator Donald, Madam Clerk, and the Augusta staff. Thank you for your service to our community. I sincerely mean that. We're here today asking you to support our single-family home neighborhoods with a no vote on this petition. This request to rezone property along Pleasant Home Road from single-family homes to apartments is simply a bad idea. We all know the real estate adage, location, location, location. This is the wrong location for this plan. This is our plea today is for you to preserve this much sought-after single-family home area of Augusta. The Envision Augusta Comprehensive Plan, page 204, item 1, top of the list, states, maintain low-density, single-family residential development in areas where it is the predominant land use. The Pleasant Home Road corridor is predominantly single-family homes. The protection of our existing single-family home neighborhoods is paramount to a healthy community. Please do not let the lure of easy money distract from the comprehensive plan we all paid for. The comprehensive plan is clear. Protect our existing single-family home neighborhoods. This property has been zoned for single-family homes since 1986. The approval allows at least 50 single-family homes. This is a plan where only a handful win and thousands of us that live in this area lose, leaving us to deal with the carnage and the bad planning. We are not opposed to development and progress. The neighbors in the Pleasant Home Road corridor advocated for Lakemont Presbyterian Church. We advocated for Harrington Park Rehabilitation Center, both requiring rezoning. We are not anti-development or anti-progress. We're asking for smart development and smart growth. The Pleasant Home Road corridor is a great, convenient area. We have always encouraged and advocated for this property to be developed under the current zoning, single-family homes in accordance with our comprehensive plan. The developer did meet with me, a few neighbors in the Foxhall Property Owners Association. He presented a plan that would not pass traffic engineering. They then rushed through their Plan B only days before the Planning Commission voted it down. This Plan B does not solve the traffic issues on Pleasant Home Road. Some say the proposed signal light is only trying to buy the silence of Foxhall. This plan actually makes the traffic problem worse. We, the taxpayers, are not asking for our good, hard-earned tax dollars to be spent defraying the cost for the developers and making our life worse. A signalized intersection at Foxhall will only sometime help the Foxhall residents. When westbound traffic backs up from Walton Way to the Foxhall entrance, residents will be forced to make a right turn out onto Pleasant Home Road. This light does nothing for our neighbors in Sugar Mill, Crofton, Pleasant Cove, Creekview, and increases the likelihood of people using Ravenwood as a cut-through, worsening those neighbors' quality of life. This does nothing to address the excessive speed and traffic volume on Pleasant Home Road, which is a safety issue. Yesterday, I received data from the Richmond County Sheriff's Department showing 85 traffic accidents on Pleasant Home Road in the last 24 months. Commissioners, you were sent an email from one of our neighbors with pictures of a most recent crash knocking down a fence. Does that sound like a street that can accommodate a high traffic generating apartment complex? The hundreds that signed a petition opposing this don't think so. Please keep your eye on the long game, as all of us do who call this area our home, and say no to this onerous plan. The precedent is clear and established. Prior Augusta commissions voted down high-density apartments in this area several times. This property must remain zoned single-family homes, as is stated in the comprehensive plan. We thank you for your no vote today supporting our neighbors. Please allow my neighbor from Ravenwood to tell you about some serious sewer issues that are affecting her home, and a much better place for our tax dollars to be spent. Thank you for your time.
Hold your applause. Hold your applause. Okay. Thank you very much. Hold your applause. All right, ma'am.
Hello, yes. My name is Bridget Rogers. I live at 3309 Ravenwood Drive. And I live across from townhomes, condos that were there when I moved in '92. Since I've lived at that residence, we've had consistent plumbing issues. I've had neighbors that washing machine backs up because they can't wash clothes. She's had plumbers there over the years many times. Just in the past 2.5 years, we've had to deal with wastewater backing up into our homes, and I'm sure no one wants to deal with that. I've been told by plumbers in the past that it has to do with single-family homes facing 100+ units that are across from the Ravenwood subdivision. We're all talking about Foxhall and traffic. Ravenwood is there too, but we're on the opposite side. You put a light there, that's going to make it even harder for us to get out. Just this morning, in taking our daughter to school, we had to wait about 5+ minutes just to get out safely. And also, we have a creek that runs behind our home that is slowly eroding the property. I mean, with runoff, I know you're going to have drainage ditches and retention ponds, but how much are they going to catch? We're still going to catch some of that. We've never had an issue with flooding. Would that create an issue for flooding for us? Will we now have to have flood owners insurance? Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you both. Hold your applause. Hold your applause. Hold your applause. I'm going to hear from the supporter. I would say I want y'all to equal a clap then, but there should be no clapping in the chamber. All right, if you'll approach. And if you would, state for the record your name.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. My name is Jason Winkter. I'm with Ivy Development, 672 Industrial Park Drive, Evans. I also have Steve Castle here, who did the traffic study, the full traffic study for us. So if you have questions on that and all the details, I'm sure he can give you more information than you've ever wanted to know on the numbers that he gathered out there. So Director Sherman did a great job summarizing the project. I'll just add a couple more things. You know, we all know the main issue is traffic out there, but the way we designed this project is we look at the surrounding neighborhood. So we don't come in with a 3 or 4 story garden style apartment building. We came in with a townhome style apartment, which are 2 stories. So they fall within the residential design standards the city has. So there'd be no more than 2 stories. And so what we did on the design, we've got 3 different types of townhomes we build for apartments. And the type of townhomes that we would put along Pleasant Home Road are basically designed with 2 fronts. And so you don't necessarily see a front and a back door. You see a front door from Pleasant Home Road and then also a front door from the interior of the site. The central buildings are the most dense. They're 8 units apiece, 1 bedroom. And so we put those in the center to keep those away from the other the existing neighborhoods. And then the floor plan that backs up to Ravenwood is a new product for us. It's 1,200 to 1,800 square foot. It's basically a 1-story with a 3rd bonus room upstairs, could be used as a bedroom. And so that's a little bit larger project or product, square footage wise. And so we also have we'll put in a pool, clubhouse, and they're trigger points in the staff recommendations. So there's no worry that we build this thing and walk away without building those amenities. We get to a certain point, and those have to be in before we get any more COs for our units. So there's a way to track this to make sure all these amenities happen. We did meet with John Usry, y'all's the city traffic engineer, to talk about a traffic light, and we were not sure if we would meet a warrant to get that traffic light approved. And so meeting with him, there is a warrant that allows us to put a traffic light there. The city has a program that he will determine the cost of that traffic light, and he will determine what our pro rata share of that is. And we have to pay that check as part of the plan approval. So again, it's not like we can build this project and then walk away at the very last day and not have that traffic light in. There's triggers in place to make sure that we get this traffic light in. And that's all determined by the City Traffic and Engineering Department. Steve Castle's here. He can answer questions on current traffic, on how our impact is, and you know, the offset for that traffic light in more detail if you'd like for him to come up. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 10th for a question.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a question. I have a statement.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Would you speak into the microphone, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate all of my neighbors being here today. Thank you for being so passionate about our neighborhood as I am. Most of us has been there for many, many years. I think I've been in my house since 77. And it's like Ms. Rogers said, we've experienced plumbing issues, storm drains backing up and overflowing into the streets and no remedy. We have a creek runs through the property that it's eroding the creek bank to the tune of about 5 to 10 feet. And we're still paying property taxes on property we no longer have, but we deal with that. Pleasant Home Road is approximately 1.3 miles in length. There's 12 to 14 neighborhoods in there. That's 24 or 25 driveways and streets empty out on the Pleasant Home Road. Add all that up and we're being used as a cut through from Davis Road to Washington Road, and then when it gets too backed up, people cut through Ravenwood, and they do it at a pretty good clip. So I understand, and I work for y'all, as I work for every citizen in Richmond, Augusta. I voted for the property owners a while ago. I'll maintain my vote to support you because it's the right thing to do. I talk to the developers, I talk to other people, and they're good, decent people. They do not build a shoddy building. They build good homes. But it's like Mr. Sassa says, it's the wrong place. This is not the right place to build it. It's like somebody told me, though, one of them told me, says, you know, it's going to eventually be built on and traffic's going to eventually increase, so why don't you go ahead and do it now? That's like saying if you live long enough, you're going to eventually die, so why don't you go ahead and die now? I mean, that just don't make sense. So I wholeheartedly ask everyone on the dais to vote your heart and vote your conscience. And I know everybody's going to speak, but I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that this project be disapproved. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion to deny from the commissioner from the 10th and a second from the commissioner from the 7th. Okay. All right, we got a lot of conversation. All right, the chair recognizes the commissioner from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, to the developer, if you don't mind.
Question?
If
you'll proceed,
yes,
please approach. Thank you. Continue, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, just want to make sure. I think we gave Mr. Sherman gave some timelines earlier. How long have you all owned this property and intended to develop on it?
We don't own it yet. We've had it on contract for several months.
Okay, but this is your first time being, because the reason I'm asking that question, because it seems as though this is the same property or the same location. May not be the same property, I don't know. And it was based at one time the neighbors was asking if they got a red light or a traffic light, then they would be fine with it. So I'm just wondering, is this the same location? And you wouldn't know, obviously, because you just got involved.
From my understanding, it was the same location. We're a different developer, though. That was somebody different than us.
Okay, so my next question is, what are your options here in terms of doing something different? I think I've heard Mr. Sassa seems to be adamant about this, about it being I think, single family, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to misquote him. I put words in his mouth. Is that an option for you?
No, sir, it's not, based on the price the owner has on the property.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, Chair recognizes Attorney Brown, General Counsel. I don't know. Your mic's on. He waves. Okay. All right, I've got a motion and a second to deny voting.
Ms. Scott, Mr. Garrett, you're trying. Mr. Bobby Williams? Okay. Are you trying, Mr. Dennis Williams? Thank you. That motion carries 6-4, with Mr. Johnson voting yes, Ms. McKnight, Mr. Mason, Mr. Franham, Mr. Garrett, and Mr. Clark. Voting no, Mr. Dennis Williams, Mr. Bobby Williams, Mr. Ben Hassan, and Ms. Francine Scott.
Okay. All right. So I know we've got a lot of people in the chamber, and here's our posture. We're going to stand at ease for a few minutes and give you a chance to exit the chamber. If you'll wait until you get in the audience, out into the lobby. So just hold conversations until then.
They may want to watch their government in further action.
Oh, well, they might.
might want to go.
You're more than welcome to stay if you like.
I'll
give you an opportunity.
That clears house.
Your speech swayed me, John.
Watch this.
Y'all good.
I forget. Right. You can't tell me what I'm a defiant one.
We against development, long single family homes.
You can build them in anybody's neighborhood.
Maybe since they don't own it. Maybe since they don't own it, they don't appeal.
Oh, yeah.
I always have to be concerned about what it's going to cost us on appeal.
Okay.
To fight this damn thing. Hill House got it down. Probably going to have it down about $70,000-$80,000 by the time we finish.
780.
We had 55,000 now.
Wow.
It's in the net. We're winning, but one more count, we can still give them what they want in that one. And they're going to feel like they got plenty of money. They call very good. A lot of milk. 21 will turn over that I would do.
Well, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
They're selling prestige.
Prestige, right. That's what they do.
So they think, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do.
They're kind of replace Jack Long, you know?
Yes, sir.
Well, since he's performing, this is having a lot more of this out. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else controversial. No, we don't have anything else controversial. Everything but the budget? We ain't got much left, do we? Whatever y'all talking about when we heard.
Oh.
I'm just
Okay. All right.
This one right here.
If you can take your seats and cease all conversations, we're going to reconvene at this time. As you're taking your seats, there's been a series of recent developments that require us to shift, and we're going to have to make an adjustment in what we're doing right now. All right, Chair's going to recognize the attorney. We'll have to shift here in just a minute. Chair recognizes Attorney Brown.
Mayor Davis, Commissioners, we request a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of pending litigation.
Yes, Commissioners from the 6th.
And that second with Mr. Bobby Lee.
Yes, ma'am. All right, this is a motion to go into closed session for the matter pending litigation. We've got a motion. Voting. As I started it with, there's been some information that came to us that requires us to shift what we're doing right now. Started with that.
It's unanimous.
Okay, we're gonna go to 291. We've got a matter that requires our immediate attention, and we'll come back. The commission will stand at ease for 10 minutes. We are back in the chamber, ready to reconvene. So take your Chair recognizes the attorney.
Mayor and Commissioners will request a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
Second.
Voting.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Chair recognizes General Counsel for the reading of a motion.
Yes. We'll request a motion to adopt an emergency resolution of the Augusta, Georgia County Consolidated Government of Georgia to accept the material terms of the distributor and Janssen settlement pursuant to the Georgia Memorandum Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21, 2020 National Opioid Agreement, as well as to authorize the mayor to execute this memorandum of understanding and all participating agreements in pursuit and use of potential opioid litigation funds consistent with the National Opioid Settlement Agreement available at nationalopioidsettlement.com.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Third.
Mayor Pro Tem and Ms. Scott. Thank you.
Voting.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I know there's still a lot of business in front of us. We're going to go to item number 37.
Number 36, sir?
37.
7? Okay. Item 37 is an update on the progress and outcomes of the Vax Up Augusta program for the period ending October-November 10th, 2021.
Chair recognizes Administrator Donald.
All righty. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission. As promised, I think you directed that on the 10th of every month we receive updates related to the Vax Up Augusta program. And so since we just passed the 10th, we have those updates available today. The first piece, let's see, I'll just go through we'll have a quick presentation, but you have all of this information in your packets. This is actually the same memorandum just put into presentation format, so you can actually follow along either in your booklets or you can follow along with this presentation, but just highlighting the various sectors that are in your memorandum. So again, on August 19th, you authorized the program. On October 30th, 2021, you actually made an adjustment where you approved a $100 incentive for the first dose vaccinations. And so on October 30th, at the James Brown Arena, we had our largest clinic to date, where 320 total vaccinations and 270 vaccine incentive cards were distributed. The clinic also that followed at the Robert Howard Community Center, where public health led that activity, 177 vaccinations and 137 vaccine cards. Within your memorandums, just to highlight that we've got a cumulative report. All vendors are up and running now, and on the left is just, again, a cumulative report of all of the activities from beginning of the program year to date, and then on the bottom right is the actual updated information through the November 10th deadline. And so these are preliminary numbers. Our protocols are at the end of the first quarterly report. We'll audit those numbers and make them final, but these are our monthly reports that we provide on a regular basis. And so this preliminary data, again, has been provided to you, but also in an effort of transparency, we have these documents on the website as well. Again, going through for each different provider, you will see the various information related to expenditures, numbers vaccinated, as well as the total number of clinics. One thing to highlight is that we've had over 200 clinics to date. I know we only talk about the mass vaccination sites, but we do have multiple clinics that are occurring on a daily basis. In addition to all of the activities for which we have highlighted, we've also made a very strong impact county-wide. And so one of the things that you will see is the increase in not only doses, but also the number of fully vaccinated people. Now, I will say that this is the report through November 10th and technically November 9th, because they have to be able to cut off and submit their reports by the due date. And then, of course, we come back and verify that information, as I mentioned, on a quarterly basis. But the early preliminary numbers are really kind of encouraging. You have almost 15,000 more residents, which you'll see if you just follow the number under residents vaccinated in the left column. The bottom column at the bottom right where it says fully vaccinated. If you follow from August 13th, which was that initial reporting period where we got the dire information from our partners at the state that there are only about 65,000 people, or 33% vaccinated. The program, of course, got started on September 3rd, and we saw an initial jump taking us up to 77,000 in the initial reporting period, and now we're up above 80,000, and we've received some additional information of the interim check-in for November 13th, where we're closer to about 45%. Also, one thing that was pointed out to me in our recent technical assistance call is that when we look at the data, I believe that our federal partners are not actually included in this data. So the number of vaccinated folks in Richmond County is likely a bit higher than this, because this only is our state data, and I believe Fort Gordon reports separately. We actually have Dr. Lee Merchant, who is here, our new East Georgia health doctor, and she'll come up when I finish this presentation. But just wanted to highlight those, and I think we look at the percentages, and 7% doesn't say a whole lot, but in a county of 200,000 plus people, moving the needle 15,000 so early in the program is encouraging. As we continue to implement, you also have 3 what would be considered mass vaccination sites that are coming forward. One that we've been really touting on November 20th, which is at the Augusta Mall, which again is that mass vaccination drive-through clinic, but you also have 2 other mobile clinics at both Jamestown and Carrie Mays in early December before the break for the Christmas holidays. When we look at the outcomes, again, I think they are pretty encouraging. Highlighted the James Brown Arena, but also the Robert Howard Center, which is one of the early pieces where a commissioner hosted a site, Commissioner Mason, where we had some very strong outcomes with a total of 177 vaccine shots distributed We've also added a partner because we do have some vulnerable populations, and so those align with the Golden Harvest Food Bank, who has signed on as a partner to help us battle food insecurity, which I know has been something that's important to the commission, but also will assist us in attracting folks who might be interested in becoming fully vaccinated. Again, since we have had full implementation on September 3rd, we've seen some really strong impact in our hospitals too. I think that really was the onus behind some of the changes that we made to the Vax Up Augusta program, where on September 3rd, when we were really launching the program, the total in our hospitals was 356 persons. Compared to now on November 9th, that number is down by 356, down to 56 people. So it's down 300 real persons in our hospitals, but also if you look at the statistics, that's up over an 80% drop. So that's a very strong impact that's happening across the community. But also when we look at deaths, when we look back at September 3rd, there were actually 5 deaths during that reporting period, whereas in the last 2 reporting periods, there are no deaths. And so that's just illuminated here within the presentation, but also within the memorandum that you have received, and that is in your books and also online for our public. Again, just a quick snapshot of the data, which shows an increase in initial doses and vaccinations, significant uptick since the program rollout and announcement, and then the positive impact on area hospitals, which I just showed, and the fact that there are 15,000 plus residents who have been fully vaccinated countywide. The one other piece that we did want to highlight is, of course, we are still implementing that initial report out of our outreach, which runs through November 29th of 2021. So that is an active activity that has not expired, but the projected cost is extremely reasonable. We know that you allocated about $25,000 for program costs, which could range from this type of outreach and things of that nature, and for us to be able to push people into the programs. And so we have actually been able to acquire 171 radio spots, which I reported on in the last report, but we are still using those 171 spots, and they will not expire until November 29th. I think the other thing that has been really cool and encouraging is that Augusta University and Augusta Tech have signed on to help us push the word out. And so Augusta University was able to participate in some of the activities at the Augusta University Clinic. And so to push it out, they put it on Jaguar, as well as did a host of social media posts. And so we saw that there were a little under 1,000 page views leading up to the activation, and there was a great response from their social media activity, which is why we had the results that we had. And so that concludes the report for the second reporting period. And if there are any questions, I would answer them at this time. Actually, I'd like to pause because you have not had an opportunity to meet, say hello to, and welcome the new member of our health team, Dr. Lee Merchant, who is the East Central Georgia Health District Director covering 13 counties, including Richmond, who has joined us today.
Chair recognizes our newest Health Department Director.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much. I, of course, just want to follow up on the presentation from Mr. Donald and say really how thrilling it is to see people continue to have good vaccination uptake. We certainly know as we are watching these pandemic numbers drop, it's a little harder for us to keep engaging our citizens in getting the shot. I think this incentive has been a really great opportunity for us to get, I call them late adapters, to the vaccine. And at this point, it's really important that we open the doors to every single person, make it as easy as possible. I think the number of outreach large programs speak for themselves. The clinics have been incredibly busy. We rolled out the pediatric vaccine. We had an around-the-door line to get in to get the children vaccinated at the health department. So I think the incentive program has been really doing spectacularly well. We've distributed close to 2,000 incentive cards through the public health department outreach programs. It's been a joy to be part of the community. I don't think we could ask for a more important element for public health than to participate in the care of this community through the pandemic. And I do think the incentive cards have really made a difference in ways that are maybe hard to calculate. It's hard to calculate who decided to say, yes, I am going to get that shot, when maybe before the incentive they would not have been willing to do it. The vaccine is safe. We know it's effective. We know it's how we get back to a normal life. It is not game over. We're watching those numbers plateau, but our northern colleagues are suffering from increasing numbers again now as well. So it's never too late to get the vaccine. We want to keep that door wide open, and really have enjoyed being in a collaboration with the commission here and with the county in delivering shots to some of those people who maybe needed a little extra oomph to get the effort done. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, and welcome to the community. Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate the update. I definitely love to see that was making an impact. But I do have some concerns. I've been reading all in the media about our lack of accountability in this program. And if it's wrong, we need to say it's wrong. And if they ask questions, we need to respond. And to hear that they've asked questions in an office and we haven't responded back is not right. I mean, we need to be transparent as a government in this money. And my first question is that, was there $91,000 spent on shipping of cards in the community?
Oh, I'm happy to answer that.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we've responded to every request for records, and we have an accountant who has been such a good steward of the funds, we've taken it to the half penny.
Okay.
So the reporter misinterpreted a decimal as a comma. It was $91.77.5. And
thank you. And I heard that.
I would have loved to have gone to Honolulu, though, Mr. Freeman. That sounds lovely.
This is where an op-ed or something we need to push back, because they're putting out
I have a letter to the
misinformation.
editor tonight.
Thank you. That's the best news I've heard all day. Because
Well, that was easy.
They continue to put out information that's not true. And if we're providing the information in a timely manner, they talked about the health department, 18,000 something, not indirect cost, and there was no ledger information on it in one of the articles I think I saw. I mean, again, we need to be giving correct information and pushing back on this if that's what they're putting out there.
We do, but we have to, and I agree, and we have to be helpful as well, but I think our messaging has to be received. So these reports are all preliminary, right? We haven't certified the reports or sent those things up to Treasury or any of those activities yet. But this is us attempting to be transparent and get ahead of things to let people know the progress that is occurring. But we technically haven't received those closeout invoices or those additional services yet. And so we're getting requests for records that may not exist. So I think a part of what we have to do is just simply say, this record does not exist, but then follow up and say, hey, it hasn't existed. Here is why, but this is when you can expect it. And so that part we have not done, and that might help them understand how the process and the program works. So there's a little give and take. I'm definitely not pleased with some of the things that I read, but I think there's some responsible journalism throughout the community, and we can partner to get the word out effectively. And we're working to do that, and we have
And I appreciate that, because I think that, like, we need to be controlling the message a little bit more. Like, whatever the presentation today would be a great press release of what's really happening, you know, because they're misconstruing the message that this isn't what we're doing. So again, thank you, Mayor, for that. I just thought that it was important we have that discussion on the floor.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, Chair recognizes the commissioner from the 8th.
Thank you, Mayor. This question is for the administrator. In your presentation, I think on the second page, you mentioned there's been 200 clinics.
Yes, sir.
Is that total, like, for the past year and a half, or is that since we started the incentive?
These reports are only for our efforts. And so they have had more clinics than that. And this is not just the Department of Public Health. Remember, that's a cumulative number. And so people have walk-in availability daily, and so those are counted in this number.
So each day is counted as a clinic in some of these areas?
To a certain extent, yes.
I got you. That just
and
seemed
that
like
number will increase because, remember, everyone was not actually fully up until, I think, a week before our last reporting period ended.
And is there a list somewhere of all of the vendors that we're using?
Yeah.
I saw.
It's included. Yes, it's
Was it in
included,
this?
and it's online. Yes, sir.
Okay. All righty. That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and welcome once again. We've had our little conversation out there, and I definitely appreciate it. One thing I do want to say is I've had the opportunity to see the Department of Public Health operate right in person, and everything went so well and so smoothly, especially out there at Diamond Lakes, and so I definitely appreciate that. Also sit on the board of Richmond County Board of Health, and we've had this discussion as well, Commissioner Frantham, about the press that we receive in relation to that. And I know there was a decimal point or a comma missing somewhere, and that went everywhere. But I have a question for you and then a comment for the administrator. Now that we have the opportunity to do the children 5 and up, and we've always been able to do either 11 or 12 and beyond here recently.
The new approval was for 5 to 11-year-olds.
5 to 11. Okay, very good. Now, is there any communication at all with the school system to possibly partner with them as far as the students? I know they would still need parental permission, but is there anything in place to have that type of discussion with the Richmond County School Board?
I can chime in on that part for the VaxUp program specifically. So we actually have, I believe it's bi-weekly calls and check-ins, and we provide technical assistance and all of that good stuff. We've got another technical assistance call this week to prepare for some of our federal reporting as well as to enhance our outreach. And so we'll actually be addressing how we can coordinate better with the school system at that time. But it's so new. I think it was just authorized a week ago.
Yeah, 2 Fridays.
2 Fridays ago, and so we have not had a chance to address that as a collective group and give technical assistance on that, because there may, and we have not, again, been able to talk about it yet, but there may be some additional requirements to do that type of outreach, so we want to pull everybody together to figure that out.
Right, and that's what I'm hoping will happen, because as we're trying to get our total numbers up, I know we're at that 40%, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but to get those numbers up, understanding that we now have the ability to do not only 5 to 11, but even beyond 11, which includes your middle school and your high schools. So I'm talking about a comprehensive look from an educational standpoint, and to also get our community as vaccinated as we possibly can. I know, again, there would be some parental permissions and things like that done, but I just think those types of discussions would be very, very helpful in terms of what we're trying to do in the bigger picture. Also, Mr. Administrator, on one of your slides, you showed the fact that we're at right around 40%. So it appears that we've done a 7% increase since September. Is that what we're looking at, basically?
As of the end of the reporting period, but remember, every day there's a clinic, so those numbers have increased. I would defer to the doctor to say where we're likely.
As of today, Richmond County had 44% full vaccination rate.
Okay, that's great. And one of the other points that I want to emphasize or reemphasize that you've already put out is that although Fort Gordon is counted in our total population, they're not counted in the number. Yeah. And so working on Fort Gordon, retiree from Fort Gordon, I realized that our clinic out there sees a number of people too that are counted in the total population of Augusta, Richmond County, to include the Veterans Administration as well.
The VA, that's what
so those two entities have numbers that would increase our actual total number. So I need for people to understand where we're at when they say we're at 40%. That this is irrelevant of the vax up. Our total numbers in Augusta, Richmond County, are actually higher than that 40% when you count in Fort Gordon and you count in the VA as well.
It has to be. The federal mandate for those employees to be vaccinated came across months ago.
I was one of them. Otherwise, I'd be out of a job. So, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure we made that point. We got media here. We need to understand that, yes, we're showing 40 in here, but we're certainly much higher than that when you count in Fort Gordon and the VA. And that's something that we can be proud of, to know that we've got other entities out there that are assisting us as well. And our numbers are actually higher than that. So I'd love to see that in the media.
I'd love to see that. I'd also love to see a really higher vaccination number.
Me too.
I got to say it. We're doing great. We got more to go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I did leave out, I highlighted that Mr. Mason, Mr. Commissioner Mason, was a part of the most recent vaccine piece, but I looked down and I saw Mr. Commissioner Johnson and forgot he actually kicked it off with the May Park sponsorship. So I did want to kind of highlight that our commission, I think you saw in the presentation, some folks got vaccinated on site, like Commissioner Clark and Mayor Pro Tem, but I did want to highlight that because I left Commissioner Johnson out. Yeah.
Thank you, Administrator Donald, and to our team who continues to work aggressively in getting shots in arms. We appreciate and applaud those efforts. All right, we're going to move the clock a little bit here. Madam Clerk, we've got a couple of items that are still in front of us. I know it's late in the evening and the sun's going down, so I'm going to, we're going to take item number 30. This is a return to us, item number 30. And while we're getting ready for that, Director Sherman and the petitioners, if they can be prepared, I want to ask this body if they are prepared to adopt the budget without issue. Okay. All right, I'm ready to do that. All right, so before we take item number 30, if you're prepared to consent item number 32, item number 33, and item number 36.
So moved.
Okay. All right. We've got items for consent again.
But we do need to see that last document on the budget.
Yeah, I think we don't have to explain it much. I think we do just want to show it for the public. And the only reason for that is we highlighted the AED changes, but we did not visually show the commission, the adoption of the utility changes. And I think just for the record, you want to visually show that because we showed the rest.
That's correct.
So I think you can consent them, but I just think you have to show it visually for that.
Let's just do the two then. Let's take 36 off until he can show that.
All right. All right, items 32 and 33 for consent. 34, I think we move that to we moved that to consent previously. So, all right, Madam Clerk, again, items 32, 33, and I think they want to do the same with 36, but they want to talk about it. I'm not sure how you do both, but all right. 32, 33, voting.
We're going to
All
talk
right,
about
she's
it
not
after
ready.
they vote on it?
I'm sorry, say that again.
They're talking about it?
No, they're
Oh, I thought you
36,
said
they just
voted.
want to wait. This is just 32 and 33.
Do you all need the hard copy?
We're going to come back to that, Madam Clerk. 36 is not included in this motion.
Yeah, but I just want to know if they want the hard copy.
They do.
Okay.
They do.
You don't need it, okay.
I think they need it because we've heard that there's been the misconstruing of commas and decimals and numbers, so we want to make sure the public has an opportunity to see that the decimal's in the right place.
So for clarity, this is for 32 and 33.
That is correct.
Okay, that motion carries. With Mr. Friend, I'm out.
All right, we're going to go to 36. Again, I asked the group for 30 to be ready and on deck so we can move forward with that quickly. This is number 36, Madam Clerk.
It's the second one.
Mr. Down, want to look at it?
It's the third line, sorry. That's it.
Okay.
That's the updated version.
That's the old one.
That's the old one. Let me see. When did you get that? Just now? Okay. I'm doing flip slam on us now. Oh, flip slam. All right. Yeah, throw away the other one.
Well, he took it out,
I'm gonna make him initial.
You initial this?
No, he's gonna initial it after he done. I know that's right.
Let me know when you're ready, Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed. I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Well, again, we highlighted the retention proposal for the utilities that you asked, but it came to my attention that we did not highlight that from the utilities department. As you know, they are an enterprise fund, and so their budget remains balanced, but did just want to highlight that was included and that it is fully funded. What you will see is that there's a decrease in capital expenditures to partially fund the retention program, but again, we provided the $3 million from in rescue plan funds to offset their costs for water meters. And so those funds were added into the budget as instructed, as well as the $1 million in fund balance was also added as well. And so you have the budget before you within your packets. And so, but that piece, I think we did want to show for the record because we had not included it. So that was the important part. And if there are any questions, we've got the full presentation up, as well as your documents are inside of your booklets. And so we can go over any questions that you would have at this time.
I got a question. Second.
All right, we got a motion to approve with the proper second. Commissioner from the 6th with the motion, and the distinguished commissioner from the 9th with the second. And we have a series of questions. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th.
8th or 6th?
8.
Thank you. I think Commissioner McKnight may be before me.
Okay. She's been in the queue for a long time. I wasn't sure.
Okay. Well, I will proceed if that's okay, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Administrator, one quick question. I know when I do budgets for my company at work, capital budgets are typically quite different than personnel budgets, and I see where you're taking $890,000 out of capital funds to partially pay for the employee retention program. Is that good practice?
So they would reduce those funds. We can come up and give them a more technical explanation, but because they have an enterprise fund, they are just adjusting their budget, and so they have taken the $3 million capital expenditure and replaced those funds from the American Rescue Plan, added those into their budget as the personnel funds, and offset that $3 million cost.
Understood. Thanks, sir.
So it is actually personnel money, but it reduces their capital obligation.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Chairman, okay. All right, he waves. Voting.
I didn't know if that was an echo. I didn't know what was going
I like that.
Mr. Franum's out. Ms. McKnight? That motion carries with Mr. Franum out.
Item number 30, last item of the day.
Okay. Item number 30 is to receive an update as requested by the Commission on November 2nd, 2021 from the Planning and Development Department regarding approved probation until December 31, 2021 for the Ceres Partners doing business as Azalea Park Apartments, 1814 Fayetteville Drive, for violating the occupation tax ordinance.
Director Sherman.
Okay, so at the November 2nd meeting, you asked for an update at this meeting. I'm not going to get into the issues that are going on out at the apartment complex. We've discussed that, and I think you fully understand. Since the November 2nd meeting, your staff, we've gotten together with the deputies in the administrator's office and HCD. We discussed what the issues are. In addition to what the actual issues are at the complex, it's how will they be addressed. And so I guess following our meeting with the administrator's office, et cetera, we had a meeting with the attorney for the apartment complex. We had the owner was on the phone, as well as the manager, and we discussed how to move this forward. Let me go back to the November 2nd meeting. There was a comment that the way that we're approaching this, we're getting complaints from tenants. It's going to take a while for all the complaints to come through, and we agree with that. So we're looking at a more comprehensive approach. And what the attorney is here to tell you, and I'll mention it now, is that there will be a comprehensive inspection of the entire complex. It has begun, and it will go through probably towards the, right around Christmas, right around December 21st. We will report back to you on the 21st. There will be a written report of the complete assessment with the timeline for beginning and ending, addressing all the issues with an estimated cost. And I'm going to ask Mr. Dunaway to come up and address this, but real quickly for you, it'll also include a maintenance as well as routine inspections of the complex. We understand how the seriousness of this and the conditions that the tenants are living in, and this will be an approach that we feel will get to the end of having it brought into compliance.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, again, I'm Dave Dunaway, represent the owner. As Director Sherman mentioned, I've sat down along with the owner, property managers, with several representatives, officials with the city, and what we have come up with is that the owner is going to perform and provide a comprehensive assessment of all property, buildings, and units regarding code violation issues. The assessment is going to commence this week. It will be completed on or before December 21st, and with a report to be provided to the Commission on the same date. This will include unit and building issues identified with corresponding repairs, a timeline for completion for all the units, and also as part of this, we've got the issues that have previously been identified that we've been here on. All of those are still going to be completed by December 31st. While this assessment is taking place, we're also going to be addressing any work orders, and we have been doing that through the course of the last few weeks. Priority of repairs, once this assessment is done, is going to focus on the occupied units. That's what we're going to focus on first. And also, I'll briefly hit on the maintenance portion of it. We have commenced weekly meetings Monday morning with the maintenance and the property owners. They are going through the issues, discussing the resolutions that need to be addressed, getting a game plan for the week. They're walking the properties on a daily basis. And they also, as part of this, have come up with a proposed maintenance check sheet that's for the exterior of the buildings, the interior of the buildings, the common areas that are signed off on, inspected, very thorough. I mean, it's 5 pages. But these are all the things that we're trying to work with to not only address the issues we've got right now, but to avoid being back in this situation in the future. They have recently retained security. We've been having difficulty obtaining that. We've got that in place now. A lot of the issues that have been discussed in the past are close to being resolved. We will have no problem meeting the December 31st on the ones that are outstanding. So.
Thank you, Mr. Dunaway. We have a series of questions. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I think he's answered pretty much all of my questions. I'm not sure what Mr. Hassan is going to say, but I think we just need to take it as information. There's nothing to be approved, right? Just take it as, so I just motion that we take it as information, but I know you got to go to Mr. Hassan.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Mr. Sherman, Mr. Attorney with Dunaway, in terms of putting this worksheet together in terms of what the workload going to look like, who's going to determine that? Is that going to be your in-house staff, or Mr. Sherman, you're going to go out and you're going to give them an overall a comprehensive plan of what needs to be done?
So the plan is that we're going to meet probably in the next day or two and go over the IPMC, the International Property Maintenance Code, and point out what we will be looking for and inspecting. In addition to that, because code enforcement is going to, after each building is completed, code enforcement is going to release that building for occupancy. Because we're going to say that, yes, we're releasing it, we're going to ask that an electrician take out a permit for each building and inspect the building for the panel and the circuits, so that, because we can't see in the walls, what we're looking at is surface for the most part, unless a building permit's required for structural. So for each building, we're going to ask that an electrician take out a permit, it be inspected and then released, so that when we issue the release from code enforcement, everything is covered and we're not saying anything that we should not be saying as far as occupancy goes.
Okay. And so, Mr. Dunaway, do you expect, based on what he just made mention of, for the whole compound, I'm going to use that word very loosely now, that all this work will be through by the end of December?
And so it's not the actual work that's going to be completed, it's having the assessment completed and a report back to the commission with a timeline for when it will be. We're not sure exactly what we may find.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, excuse me. So let's not talk about the whole compound. Let's talk about the ones that we got right now already in the queue in terms of that. Will those be completed by then?
They'll be completed by December 31st, and they should be completed by the December 21st commission meeting.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question. Did you provide, well, you said you had a comprehensive list, I guess, that you were looking from. Is that something that you provided to the clerk commission? Do we have a copy of that?
It's been provided to code enforcement by the property managers. And we're working on that. It's not actually finalized yet.
But you have something in place that we could actually look at.
I can have something.
Oh.
We can get it to you. Are you talking about the checklist for?
Well, I saw him flipping through his papers. He said he had an extensive list of stuff to do or to assess, and I'm just wondering, can you provide a copy to the?
I can get you a copy, but it's not finalized yet. We're still working with code on that. But it's basically a checklist. It's exterior walls, clean, flashing's good.
Sure. You don't have to go down that right now. Just want to make sure that we get a copy. It gets to the clerk, and she'll know what to do from there.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Administrator Donald.
No, I was just going to highlight that they're still working on that list. So that's a part of what they're bringing back as final. So it's not a list as of yet. It's being developed. So it is draft, if anything.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I think we've got a motion to receive as information without objection. Okay. Madam Clerk, I believe that that's all of the official business. I want to take an opportunity to thank the administrator, his staff, our finance director and department, and all who have worked on the FY 2022 budget. This has been a unique time for us as a city to take an effort. In fact, my words will be that this is perhaps the most comprehensive effort that the city of Augusta has undertaken to put together a budget. And so to that end, thank you. Thank you for your leadership in that
Commissioner
area.
Mason, before you leave, sir, I need to see you. Okay.
He's not gone. And so to that, thank you. Thank you for your leadership in that area. Our sheriff has been with us the whole day, and I am confident that he's pleased with what has transpired in the Augusta Commission today. It'll allow him to not only recruit, reward, and retain those law enforcement officers that we need to continue to make Augusta a safe and a livable city. If there's no other business before us, this meeting is adjourned.
What you got there?